I'm Natalie Kenway, editor of ESG Clarity, and welcome to the Green Dream video series where we interview senior investment professionals in the responsible investment industry. Today I'm speaking to Sophie Lawrence, senior ethical, sustainable and impact researcher at Rathbones Greenbank Investments. Thank you very much for joining me today, Sophie.
Thank you, Natalie, for having me to speak with you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Great. First of all, can you explain your role within the business?
Yeah, sure. So I work within our in-house ethical, sustainable and impact research team at Rathbones Greenbank. And just briefly, some context on Greenbank before I go into our team. So Greenbank has been a provider of bespoke, ethical, sustainable and impact investment services since 1997 and is a business stream within Rathbone Brothers PLC, which is a FTSE 250 company with just over 50 billion under management. The Greenbank team is made up of about 35 people, and we have our own 4-person in-house research team, and that's where I come in. So our team is responsible for screening investments based on an assessment of their environmental and social performance, also managing engagement activities, and we're also responsible for the reporting to our clients on sustainability performance of their portfolio. And we really work side by side with the investment team to really ensure that sustainability analysis is integrated at each stage of the investment process.
Fantastic. Well, as Greenbank, obviously ESG is at the heart of everything that you do. How has the company's views or actions on ESG evolved this year with the pandemic? What have been the latest developments, would you say?
Sure. Yeah. So as you say, it really is at the heart of what we do, and we've been investing in this way, since the late 1990s. But in terms of, I think, how it's evolving and the latest developments, I think really for us, we've really been thinking about how we embed the sustainable development themes that we really use as a guide to think about where we invest, and really trying to embed those throughout every stage of our investment process. We've also been growing our impact investment proposition. So this is an area, where we've been working for a long time. We were one of the first private client investment management teams to invest in this way, and we've made several impact-driven investments so really since the early 2000s. But we see a really rising demand for that area, and we're really looking to grow our proposition there. We've also really expanding our climate-aligned investing approach. We've been part of the IIGCC's Paris-aligned investment initiative this year to develop the first net zero investment framework. And we really see that as an important piece of work, and we'll be looking to embed that in the way that we manage our portfolios at Greenbank going forward. I think we're also, really important to mention that we're growing as a team. So we're building really new expertise in areas of collectives and impact investment. We're growing our research team and also expanding into new parts of the UK, including Scotland. I think in terms of how we view ESG, I think we're really at a crossroads right now where, we're not sort of even as a market seeing it just as a nice add-on, but really a necessity for viable investment solutions. And I think you mentioned the COVID crisis, and I think that's really, been brought into the fore during the pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has really accelerated, I think, the interest in investing in this way, both at an investor level. We're seeing really unprecedented, levels of new ESG investment, but also at a corporate level. I think it really seems to be, in some cases at least, to be fueling change from maybe the kind of more complacent day-to-day management to much more kind of visionary strategic positioning for sustainability targets. And I think it really has gone some way in really disrupting the traditional drivers of financial value, the pandemic. And it's really shone a light on companies that are focused on resilience and their long-term sustainability, which are really the types of companies that we're investing in at Greenbank. So, that's really exciting. So I'll sort of pause there for the moment, but I'm sure I'll come back to some of that in later questions.
Great. And what are the key trends that you are seeing evolve at the moment?
Yeah, so I think I might mention actually one which is maybe not a key trend yet at an institutional level, but I think one that we really feel needs to be given much more focus, and it is really an urgent priority, and that's biodiversity. So business and biodiversity was actually the topic of our recent Investor Day. And for those that are interested who are listening into this interview, you can listen back actually on demand to some of our discussions with some of the leading experts in this field. But really just focusing on the issue, I think, we've really seen a lot of research recently come out, and it's received a lot of attention, rightly so, in the press. WWF's latest Living Planet report last year showed a really alarming drop in the population sizes of mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles of nearly 70% since 1970. And at the same time, we've seen the UK this year fail to reach 17 out of 20 of its UN biodiversity targets that were set 10 years ago. And I think really kind of coming back to why it should really be an important priority for investors, this is something that's going to impact every business. Most businesses are dependent on biodiversity either directly or through their supply chains. And the World Economic Forum has actually estimated that $44 trillion of economic value is exposed as a result of the loss of nature. So I really think this is something that the investor community needs to do more in this area to really understand the impact that we're having on biodiversity through our investments. And I think there's definitely some real barriers to action and some reasons why, maybe it hasn't been given the focus that issues such as climate change have had in the past. But I think looking forward, there's some really promising work that's going on, including the Task Force for Nature related financial disclosure, and other initiatives such as the Finance for Biodiversity group as well, doing work in this area. So I think this is something that we really want to kind of see given more focus, especially going into next year when we have the Convention on Biological Diversity meeting. And it's something that Greenbank are really trying to focus on and thinking where can we do more. And so just to mention a couple of the things that we'll be doing, we're going to be working with some external experts on the way that we measure biodiversity at Greenbank. And we also want to be doing some policy engagement work in the run up to the Convention on Biological Diversity next year. And really thinking about how we can engage with our holdings on this issue. So yeah, wanted to focus on that one, which I think is maybe not quite there as visibly as something like the energy transition, but it is really important for us to wrap our heads around.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. We're seeing interest in biodiversity increase on both sides. Readers seem to be interested in it, and asset managers are definitely talking about it more. So let's hope that the action is taken very soon. On that note, what kinds of industry collaboration would you like to see for the asset management industry to come together from a responsible investing stance?
Yeah, so I think that there's collaboration is really important, as it has been with a lot of the other issues that we've really worked on over the years. And I think I mentioned the net zero investment framework earlier, but I think the sort of a similar framework to that is going to be really important for biodiversity and some of the other issues that we really kind of grapple with. I think that just focusing really on biodiversity, I think we need to really approach it with the same kind of level of rigor as we have with climate change, and really see different stakeholders come together and really think about what is a consistent way to be able to measure the impact the investment portfolios are having. And I think it's really important that we get sort of coming away from biodiversity actually now. I think the other big area that we need industry collaboration on is around labelling. So we're seeing a lot of activity happening around the EU taxonomy, and that's something that's really important for us to see. And actually, when we started, I was talking about the sort of ethical, sustainable, and impact that we use at Greenbank, and those definitions have all got kind of different meanings, and we want to be really transparent about how we're using those in the way that we invest, and we want to see the same from others, so that there is really a kind of level playing field there, and also we're all kind of using the same language when we're talking about this area of investing, which I think is increasingly important as we see more kind of players come to this area.
Great. And coming back to Rathbones, what are the future plans for the business? Where can you identify areas of progression or growth?
Yeah, sure. So of course, as Greenbank, we're part of Rathbones, and Rathbones has a really long track record in responsible investment, outside of just the Greenbank proposition, and also the Ethical Bond Fund and Global Sustainability Fund, which you might be aware of, which are also managed by our unit trust team. Just for some examples, I think the company has been a signatory to the UNPRI since 2009, and this year was actually shortlisted for Engagement Project of the Year, recognised for its work engaging with companies that have been non-compliant with the conditions of the Modern Slavery Act. And this follows a really strong legacy of work on this issue, which started with Greenbank, and who were involved in coordinating investor support for the inclusion in the Transparency and Supply Chains Clause, quite a mouthful there, in the UK's Modern Slavery Act, which was back in 2014. I think also the company's stewardship committee, which has been in place, and as well as the responsible investment committee. The stewardship committee manages an active policy of voting and engagement, whilst the responsible investment committee was established last year to really help integrate environmental, social and governance considerations into all of the investment management processes and ownership practices. And this work is really progressing rapidly within the organisation, and it really aligns with our corporate aspiration to be a really clear leader in responsible investment, thinking, acting, and also investing responsibly. And just to kind of close there, I think just bringing it back to Greenbank as well, we've got this vision to be the natural home for investors seeking to align their investment with the change they want to see in the world. And as I've mentioned already, we're in a really exciting phase of growth for the organisation, with projects ongoing to also expand our product offering and really grow the team. So watch this space for more coming soon.
Great, we certainly will. And the final question we always end the Green Dream with is, what is your favourite sustainable drink prospect?
Yeah, so I had to think about this one actually, but it's probably got to be Pucker Herbs Tea, who I'm sure some of you are aware of. I think come into their own during this working from home time as well. But they make organic herbal teas and supplements. And actually since 2001, they have been really focused on operating their business in a way that regenerates the environment and society. They've been a certified B Corporation since 2016, and they've really been recognised there for the impact that they're creating for the environment, the community, and also their workers and how they're governed. I also love them because they're a member of 1% for the Planet, and they give 1% of everything they sell to environmental and social causes, which has seen them donate over 2 million since 2016. And they're also just down the road from a lot of us at Greenbank, Bristol based. So that's my favourite sustainable snack, but definitely a lot of sustainable snacks out there to choose from now.
Yeah, great. And those herbal teas, they come in lots of great flavours as well, don't they? Well, thank you very much for joining me on the Green Dream today. Thank you very much for sharing your insight.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Natalie.